Okay, come on down. Don't yell at me. You're the one who got on the table. Okay, so I sewed the hood on and the cloak, or to the cloak. So this is what we have right now. Very cute. Alright, so Raven has like a bindi kind of, or like a jewel or something kind of on her forehead. And for that, I have a sequin that is actually a triangle. I have sequins everywhere now. But I have a sequin that's like a diamond shape, not a triangle. And so I'm going to sew that onto her forehead. There we go. It's a little bit bigger than the one on Raven, but it's just inspired by Raven. We'll just go with that. It's kind of a Raven-inspired doll. Back to the cloak. The cloak is going to need some sort of fastener. And Raven has like a golden, like, it's gold and it has like a red jewel that clasps her cloak together. And I was thinking about how I could do it with what I have on hand because it's dark outside right now, it's late, and I'm not making a trip to any craft stores. So I have gold buttons, and I also have red sequins. So if I put the two together, ta-da! Start by sewing the button on the side that I want visible. And here's where the fun comes. You're going to get your handy dandy glue gun. Ta-da! And I'm just going to add just a dab of glue in the center of the button. And I'm going to take my, if I can get that to sit, my large red sequin, and I'm going to smush it down in the center there. Now, ta-da! Fabulous. And I've got strings to cut. Now I'm just going to pull the other side over, figure out where I want the buttonhole to be, and cut a tiny little slat. Doesn't have to be too big. I'm so easily distracted. If you want to sew around it, the buttonhole, it stops it from fraying, and it also looks a little bit better when you have it open. And I will do that, but just not at the moment. We're just going to get on to the other fun stuff. So there is Raven in her cloak, which looks pretty awesome actually. I like it. Considering I'm not a doll maker, I think I'm doing a pretty good job here. So the next step is that once you take the cloak off, Raven is naked. That's not good. So we're going to have to start making clothes for her to wear underneath this. Because my glue gun is heated up right now, I'm going to make a few more of these button gems. Well, I guess technically I can't start making the button gems because I need to make the whole belt first. So we're going to make the belt. And I have some yellow string because I didn't have gold. It's sad, I know. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to make this belt, so you guys are just going to kind of come along for the ride with me on this. I guess I'm going to start by cutting on some extra long pieces of string here. And this is embroidery thread that I'm using. I was hoping that I had like gold ribbon, but I don't. I will cut 3 strands of gold ribbon, and this will probably wrap around her waist 1, 2, 3 times. Impressive. And so I'm going to take some buttons. Alright, so I've got 5 gold buttons, I think, that are relatively the same size. I am going to tie off the belt. So there's about 1.5 inches hanging off the end there. Lick the string, because who doesn't like licking string, right? This is a 2-hole button, 3 strings, so I'm going to put 2 of the 3 through the holes. Put it on the other side. Put that extra string on the other side. And then I'm going to try and tie a knot as close to... Oh dear, what has happened here? Oh, there we go. I'm going to try and tie the knot as close to the button as I can get it. It wasn't terribly close. That is what that looks like. I wanted to lay flat, that's what I got. We're going to do it again. 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 Ooh, I did much better with the knot tying that time. Look at that. Dang, review! Alright, just to save us some time, because it's just going to be that again and again, you're going to take your glue stick and do the same. I just called this a glue stick. This is a glue gun, not a glue stick. You can take your glue gun, and once you have all of the buttons on there, just put a dab in the center, just like we did with the button on the cloak. Glue everywhere. And place the red sequin in the center and get glue everywhere. I'm going to finish putting the other ones on there, and then I'm going to clean up these little strings of glue that just feel like, okay, there. You can kind of see what we've got. Alright, so I finished putting the jewels on the buttons here, and there's some strings hanging out, but I've got 3 larger sequins in the center and then 2 smaller ones on the side, mainly because I couldn't find the large sequins and I was hoping the ones on the side wouldn't be able to be seen. But so that's our belt. Not the greatest belt in the world, but it'll have to do because it's the best I could come up with. So now we're going to go on to making Ravenworks kind of, best describe it as like a bathing suit. So we're going to be making a bathing suit for Raven, and it is in black. Alright, we don't need a ton. I'd say probably 3 inches. This is probably 3 by 5 inches. Let's fold it over. So you're going to need a piece of fabric that's going to wrap all the way around your doll. This is actually probably way too long, but it wraps all the way around her. I'm going to cut this in half so I have 2 pieces to work with, because I think that's going to be easier for me. Might not be easier for you. Well, I do know that if we're making a bathing suit, it can't be a square on the bottom. It's going to be more like a V shape, but squared off slightly on the bottom. Not quite a V, because you need a more gradual slope. What I'm going to do is that flat line right there, I'm going to sew that together, and we're going to move from there. I'm going to take this step by step, because the only other bathing suit that I ever made was out of a book cover, and that one actually was really easy, but for some reason this time around, without this stretchy fabric that has give to it, and with this size doll, it just seems so much harder. Alright, so in addition to sewing that little bottom piece, I also hemmed the leg edges, I guess you would call them, because I tested it out on the doll. It looked right, so I folded over the edges and just sewed them, and I think you guys can handle figuring out how to hem on your own. But so there is the piece that I sewed across, and then I folded the edges over to the bad side and sewed, so that way when I flip it to the right side you have string. And then once it's flipped, you can see where I hemmed it, because I left the thread purple, partly because I thought it would look cool and partially because I'm getting a little lazy because it's late. Anyway, so we'll put this on the doll real quick. And I said this is like a bathing suit, but I really meant it was like a leotard because there's sleeves on it. So we're going to have to leave it open in the back so you can get it on and off the doll. Or we could just sew her into it. No, we'll leave it open in the back so we can take it on and off her. But as you can see, when I put it on the doll, it fits on the lower region of her. And now we can kind of get an idea of where we need to sew it up. And I'm going to say it's probably 3/8 of an inch on both sides for my doll. But for your doll, just pinch it and kind of get an idea, or you can measure it or pin it, and figure out where you need to sew up from there. And I'm just going to go up to where her arms are because I'm going to leave the armholes open so that we can add the sleeves on. And as for the back, we currently have some excess fabric, which is what we want because we want to add a slit. And I'm going to do that right now. When I'm putting it on and off of her, I have that excess give, and I'm going to add a button in the back there, and the cloak should cover it, so you really won't see the button back there. But just for the sake of keeping everything looking similar, I'm going to use a gold button and add a sequin to it so it matches the one in the front. But so I've got the cut in the back there. So I'm going to pull this off of her real quick. String everywhere. Goodness me. I'm going to turn it back so it's the bad side that's facing, and I'm just going to sew that little bit on each side real quick. Alright, finished that. Now I've got a bunch of excess string hanging out. I'm just going to cut along where I sewed. I might end up just cutting straight up, but for the sake of possibly needing it later, I'm just going to leave that excess fabric there at the moment on the top, just like that. So it's a strange looking tee at the current moment. 14 items. Now, I'm going to flip it, and we're going to try it on our doll to make sure we haven't messed up. And I just forgot that her feet are fatter than her thighs. I hope that we can get these on her. Alright, so I put the dress on her the right way, and I also put her hair up so I could see better what I was doing. And now she looks kind of like a troll. Or what do they call them? Zelfs? Here's the top. As you can see, this is too tall, so we're going to have to fold it over and hem it. And then also, I think we can fold over both sides and hem it. Now, the back, the slit does need to go back down a little further. Instead of adding a button, which is what I would traditionally do, because the way this is fitting, it's fitting pretty good, and it slips on and off fairly well. I think instead of adding a button, I'm just going to sew the backs. So she's got this very deep V in the back. Once again, the cloak will mainly cover that when she's wearing the costume. And otherwise, personally, I've never seen a Teen Titans show where you see Raven without the cloak on. So what I'm going to start doing here, first I'm going to get this off. Then I'm going to hem the sides of the back. That way we can get it on and off her very easily. And then I'm going to fold over the tops and sew them. And I thought the big feet would be kind of cute. Now that I'm making clothes for her, I find that they are a little bit of a hindrance. But, like as you can see, her feet are kind of fat at the bottom and thin up at the top. Alright, back to making this outfit. So I'm going to fold over the edges there, sew them, and then I'm going to leave the sleeves, the armholes alone, fold over the front edge, a little bit in the back, sew them together, except for in the middle where her head needs to go, and she's got a rather large head, so I'm going to leave a very large neck space because she doesn't have much of a neck. And I will show you what that looks like in a moment. Alright, so I finished the main portion of the leotard. There it is. The back's a little messed up. It's very hard to sew the V once everything else is sewed together. Just a heads up. But it was easy to put on, so there's no button needed in the back. And so now we just need to add a little bit more sleeve. Not a ton, actually. Alright, so I jumped ahead and I started and I made the sleeve here. And so that's what it looks like. It's going to have some purple at the end and just a little black sleeve, nothing too fancy. But to do that, I've already pre-cut the pieces of fabric because it's kind of boring watching me cut things. This fabric is actually a little bit too long, but once I get the sleeve made before I attach it, I'm going to shorten it a little bit. But all I did was make sure that the fabric would wrap around the doll's arm and have plenty of leftover fabric to cover it. And because her hands are, once again, just like her feet, a little bit wider at the end, I made sure that it was suited to fit at the widest point. And then I just chopped out a piece that's pretty much the same width, a little bit longer actually, of a purple fabric for the end. We're not going to really need this much fabric, but oh well. So I'm going to fold over the top here and just sew straight across. Once you're finished, it's going to look a little something like this. Now I'm going to take my black fabric, and I'm going to go, the seamed side is going to be facing down, and I'm just going to line it up so that I've got probably about 1/4 of an inch of the purple, and then the rest of it's all extra, and I'm just going to seam right across. And it's going to be good side to good side, by the way. And now I'm just going to cut off all this excess fabric here. And as you see, I only used probably about half of the purple fabric. And then there's some extra hanging out over here that I'm going to cut off. Now I'm going to flip it open. So you see we've got that little purple edge on the end. Now I'm going to go good side to good side again. And I'm going to sew straight down the edge there. Now I'm going to flip it right side out. Then I'm going to compare it to the doll's arm, and as you can see, it's going to be way too long. I'll show you the back here so you can see it's going to be way too long. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit by little bit until it gets to the right length. And I don't want to just go at it and just cut what I think is right, because then the sleeve is going to end up too short. And that's a pain, I think. Now I'm going to flip this inside out. The rest of it can stay the same, or you could do the whole thing inside out. I'm going to take this right side out and just stick it into the socket there and line it up. And then I'm going to use a needle and thread to sew it. Alright, so the leotard is finished. So we're going to put it on her. And then we need to make her shoes, which are purple and black. And I think I'm actually going to sew them on her feet, just because shoes are hard, really hard. So far so okay. The cloak. Oh, we should probably take her hair out of this crazy ponytail. Well, I guess, you know what, before we put the cloak on, we will make her shoes. And because I had her hair up in that ponytail for a while, I'm going to put a rubber band around her face just to kind of smush it down again. So just ignore that for a moment. And you could actually put some hairspray in her hair to kind of, or the yarn, kind of make it stay a little bit better where you want it to. Alright, purple fabric. And we're just going to wrap it around the bottom of her feet here. Right. So I'm just going to sew. Well, first I'm going to fold over the top and sew across. That way we have a pretty seam at the top. I guess maybe I'll make them so they can come off. So I finished sewing both of them. Just the purple portions. And now we need a little black portion because I forgot the bottom's black on her shoes. So out comes the black fabric. Oopsie daisy. A little strip. Okay, so I've got two that are the same size, so I'm going to fold over the top and sew across once again on both of them. And then, once the top is folded over and all beautiful, I'm going to go good side to good side, and I'm going to sew that right on the bottom. Well, bad side to good side. And I'm going to sew that piece on the bottom, so I'll show you what that looks like. Here's what that looks like. Now what we're going to do is go good side to good side, and sew straight down, and then sew across the bottom. Not the purple side, but the side that has the black fabric. And we're going to flip it right side out. And having a handy-dandy pencil nearby is helpful for the flipping portion. Alright, next, our shoe. I made the shoes a little too tight, but I think that'll help with keeping them on. The back of this one opened a little bit. I have to re-sew that. Her bangs don't want to stay down. But she is finished besides her cape, which we will now put on, and hopefully that'll help keep her hair down. Yeah, so don't put her hair in a ponytail and leave it like that overnight. Bad news bears. But we are finished with our raven. The cloak open. You can see her outfit and her belt. So, not my greatest work, but for my first time, not bad. Like I said, I'm not really used to working on this scale. It's definitely a challenge because it's so small, but I have a request from my daughter to make a Starfire, who is also a Teen Titan. So if you'd be interested in seeing that, like the video. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this crazy endeavor here that I just did wasn't too terrible for you guys to watch. And if you enjoyed it and want to see more videos kind of like this, subscribe to my page. I post videos regularly. You can also like me on Facebook and send me images of crafts that you're doing, because I love seeing those. Otherwise, you can see kind of sneak peeks of what I've been doing on there and get kind of a heads up on what crafts I'm going to be posting videos of. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!